All right, you guys, welcome to the Tuesday version of Editing for the Web. Today we are going to work on just a couple of in-class activities to get you even more steeped in this real deal taco scenario. Additionally, both of the things that we're doing in class are going to be exercises that will be helpful or beneficial for you guys if you're taking on freelance clients. I've kind of formalized this in terms of an activity for today, but I hope that you'll be able to easily translate or extrapolate kind of the process that we go through for this as to how this will help you taking on a freelance client for a website design project at some point, okay? So I'm going to go through the instructions for both of these activities really quickly because I'm recording this for Garrett, right? And so I'm going to record the instructions for both, and then I'm going to shut down the recording and then work with you guys here in the classroom. So for the first activity that we're going to do, we're going to create something called a project inventory questionnaire, right? So last week when I showed you guys that email that I got from a colleague named Jason, not the Jason you guys know, but the one that kind of introduced a web design project. We talked about how all these different projects come in different shapes and sizes, and you get different kinds of information, and usually never everything that you need in one email right away. And so we talked about systemizing your process to receive and start a project, right? And so when you get an email from somebody or you have a conversation with somebody and they're like, hey, can you design a site for me? The answer is absolutely. I'd love to hear more about your project. If you wouldn't mind, please fill out this questionnaire that I have. And this questionnaire is designed to elicit all of the information that you need to put together a proposal or an estimate for this gig, okay? And so for today, what I want you guys to do is collectively, that means together, working in a group, I want you to come up with a list of questions that you would ask any client, any potential web client, to elicit the information that you think you need to put together a proposal on the project, okay? And so I want this to be generic in the sense that you're not asking me questions about my mobile food truck business in San Diego. You're asking me questions that could pertain to a food truck business, a barber shop in Portland, a surfing shop in Lake Worth, or Mousetrap Mini Golf, right? All of your questions need to be written in such a way that they could target any business. The reason why you're doing this is because you spend the time creating this tool once and make it universal enough to talk to any client or any project, then you guys can use this forever, right? I'm giving you guys the opportunity to create something here in class with guidance that you can turn around and use for any projects that you have, okay? So in the end, the deliverable for this exercise is going to be a questionnaire, like a survey, right? So I'm going to run through this really quick. You want to determine the scope of the project. You want to elicit any of the information that you need to put together a proposal or an estimate, which includes contact info, familiarizing yourself with the client or the project, the purpose of the project or the site that you're building, defining kind of the target audience, who this is for, what are their needs, develop an ideal site visitor profile, right? Who is the person that you're trying to attract with this? Ascertain different content or layout needs, right? So like, what is the content? What do you have? What do you need? What is the aesthetic? What is the artwork? What are the assets available to me on this? The inventory of the available assets, and then establishing the goals and objectives for whatever it is that you're creating. I want you guys to also think about, how can I write these questions or organize these questions in such a way that will best facilitate this experience for my potential client or project that I'm working on, right? So it takes a little bit of time to sit down and figure all of these things out, right? And as as a group of media strategists, you guys have a language, a vocabulary, and a way of talking about things that makes sense to you because this is your industry, this is your passion. But if I am talking to the owner of a mobile food truck business in San Diego and I say things like, what assets do you have available for this site? They might not know what you mean by assets. You could say, what content do you have available for the site? They might not know what you mean by content. So phrase your questions in such a way that if I'm sitting at home alone trying to answer your survey, that like I understand the lingo that you're using, right? Additionally, think about things like, okay, I might ask my client, what are your goals and objectives for this site? They might not have the language to be able to articulate that back to me or know even. They're just like, I need a site. But you might give them a multiple choice, right? Or check all that apply. Because it might be a goal of my site to attract business, to establish an online presence, to market to new customers, but maybe I don't have that language, right? And so if I'm given instead of a text box that says, just tell me everything that you want to tell me, I'm given specific choices for this, right? Then maybe I will give you more information about what I need. Does that make sense? And it's easier for me to hit, yep, check, this one too, but not this one, rather than sit there and think, okay, I don't really know much about this whole media, marketing, website, strategy, design. How am I going to tell this person what they need to know to get the job done, right? So be thinking about also the user experience that you're giving this person with the tool or the form that you create, right? Make it easy for them to give you the information you need to put together a proposal, an estimate, or a strategy. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. I am going to go next to the other activity we're going to be working on, which is we're going to be looking more at the target audience for Real Deal Tacos. Now, this is something that I wanted to work with you guys last week on, but we only had that one day together. So this is a little bit out of sequence in terms of this would be something that you would do earlier on in the process, not after you've already put together a proposal and an estimate, right? So this exercise is pretty simple. You're going to ask yourself, who's going to visit this site and who is it that I'm trying to attract with this site? And in doing that, you're going to list 15 descriptive adjectives or statements that identify the demographics, habits, interests, preferences of your target audience. So let's just do a quick for instance on this for the purposes of an example for Garrett, who's listening to this archive, right? A description of someone who would go to Real Deal Tacos.
45, father with his wife and kids.
45-year-old father with his, okay, that's really specific, right? I would say that their target audience is larger than that. That's definitely somebody who would be in that, but how about somebody like food truck enthusiasts? How about someone who likes supporting local cuisine? How about someone who is eats organic food, right? So see how we're targeting something that's more encompassing than just saying a 45-year-old person with kids, right? So with this assignment, we're going to come up with a list of 15 different ones, and then we are going to distill that, which means take this larger mass of terms and statements, and we are going to comprise just a summary statement, probably of maybe 3 sentences that characterizes the Real Deal Taco. So you have that kind of at the heart of who you're making. This is your audience, and this is who you're going to make all of your design and strategy decisions for with this site. It is kind of your North Star. Is it going to serve this population? If it does, then that's a good decision to make on your site. Does that make sense? So for this one, the deliverables are a list of 15 adjectives and statements, and then taking those statements and putting them into a summary paragraph of 2 to 3 sentences that really encompasses who the target audience is for Real Deal Tacos. Does that make sense? Do you guys think that Garrett will be able to listen to these instructions and complete this activity on his own at home? Do you guys want to ask any questions on his behalf to clarify? I like it that my instructions were seemingly clear, but we'll see. All right, Garrett, those are your instructions for your integrated learning activity. Let me know if you have any questions.